Hollywood gave Teyana Taylor almost everything an artist could ask for: recognition, major opportunities, and a powerful image in the spotlight. She earned award nominations, worked with some of the biggest names in entertainment, and built a reputation as a multi-talented star. On the surface, it looked like a perfect success story. But behind all of that success, there was one thing: she never fully received real control over her own career. And according to Katt Williams, that missing control is where the real story begins. From the very start, Teyana was never just another performer following instructions. She grew up in Harlem and entered the industry at a young age, quickly catching attention for her talent. She worked with Beyoncé early on, then became part of Kanye West's Gold music label, an environment filled with influence, power, and opportunity. But while others saw fame and success, Teyana was quietly observing how everything worked behind the scenes. She wasn't just building a career, she was learning the system. As her career grew, so did the pressure to stay within certain boundaries. The entertainment industry often rewards artists who follow the rules and stay in their lane. But Teyana refused to do that. She explored music, acting, choreography, and eventually directing, stepping into roles that gave her more creative freedom. And that's where things started to shift, because in Hollywood, talent is appreciated, but independence can make powerful people uncomfortable. At one point, the situation became so frustrating that Teyana openly spoke about wanting to step away from music. Many people assumed it was just a disagreement with her label, Def Jam Am. But her own words told a deeper story. She revealed that she had asked to be released from her contract more than 10 times. That's not something artists usually do unless they feel trapped. She described feeling unseen, unheard, and undervalued despite everything she had achieved. Eventually, she was able to move forward, but the experience changed her direction. Instead of relying only on music, she began focusing more on film and storytelling. This wasn't just a career move, it was a shift in power, because stepping behind the camera meant she could finally control how stories were told. And according to Katt Williams, that's exactly the point where the industry starts to pay closer attention. As Teyana Taylor stepped deeper into filmmaking, the entire dynamic around her began to change. Being in front of the camera is one thing, but standing behind it is completely different. As a performer, you follow direction. As a director, you give it. You decide what the audience sees, what stays hidden, and what message is delivered. And that level of control is rare in an industry built on layers of influence. According to Katt Williams, this is exactly where the tension begins, because control over the narrative means control over the truth. Williams has been very vocal about how the entertainment industry operates behind closed doors in interviews and public appearances. He suggested that many artists don't actually have as much freedom as people think. Contracts, he claims, are not always limited to music or film projects. In some cases, they can extend into personal areas, shaping public behavior, relationships, and even how someone presents themselves to the world. These are not always written in obvious ways, but they exist in expectations, pressure, and unspoken rules that artists are expected to follow. If that's true, then someone like Teyana Taylor becomes a very different kind of figure. She's not just talented, she's experienced. She's been inside major rooms where decisions are made, deals are discussed, and careers are shaped. She has seen how quickly things can change depending on who supports you and who doesn't. And more importantly, she understands how those decisions are made. That kind of awareness can be powerful and sometimes uncomfortable for the people who benefit from the system staying exactly as it is. One of the biggest turning points in her journey was her transition into directing her own projects. Her film, Get Light, connected to a major studio, was supposed to mark a new chapter. It represented growth, independence, and a chance to tell stories from her own perspective. On the surface, everything looked like progress. But according to Williams' perspective, the concern might not be about the film itself. It could be about what she might choose to include in it. Sometimes, those ideas are hidden in symbolism, subtle scenes, or deeper messages that only certain viewers fully understand. This has been especially true in films that challenge powerful systems or question how things really work behind the scenes. Instead of saying something openly, filmmakers place those truths inside a story, allowing the audience to connect the dots on their own. And if Teyana Taylor has spent years observing the industry from the inside, then her storytelling could carry more meaning than people expect. Around the time when anticipation for Get Light should have been building, something unusual happened. The updates slowed down. Mentions of the project became less frequent, and while delays are normal in film production, the timing raised questions among fans and observers. At the same time, news surfaced that her relationship with actor Aaron Pierre had quietly ended. The public explanation was simple: busy schedules and demanding careers. And while that is common in the entertainment world, the timing led some people to wonder if there was more happening behind the scenes. This is where the conversation starts to expand beyond just one person. Over the years, Hollywood has faced repeated criticism over how it treats strong, independent voices, especially women who push for more control over their work. There have been multiple cases where successful individuals later spoke about issues involving pay, respect, recognition. In many of those situations, a pattern seems to appear. First, there are whispers, rumors that someone is difficult to work with. Then those rumors begin to spread, often without clear evidence, and over time, that narrative can shape how the public sees that person. Katt Williams believes Teyana Taylor's situation may go even deeper than that. In his view, it's not just about disagreements or creative differences, it's about knowledge. The kind of knowledge that comes from being present when important decisions are made, the kind of knowledge that reveals how deals are structured, who benefits the most, and how influence really works behind the scenes. If someone with that level of understanding chooses to speak, or even worse, chooses to show, it could challenge the way the entire system is perceived. As the conversation around Teyana Taylor continues to grow, one thing becomes very clear. This is no longer just about talent or career choices. It's about timing, positioning, and the kind of influence someone builds after years inside the system. Because when you combine experience, independence, and creative control, you end up with someone who is no longer easy to manage. And in an industry where control plays such a major role, that shift can create serious tension behind the scenes. The silence around "Get Light" only adds to the mystery. In most cases, major film projects are constantly promoted with updates, trailers, and media coverage building excitement. But here, things feel different. The lack of information has led many people to ask questions. Is it just a normal delay, or is something being held back? No one has given a clear answer, which leaves room for speculation. And when there's no official explanation, people naturally start connecting the dots themselves. At the same time, Katt Williams continues to stand by his claims. He has made it clear in multiple interviews that what he shared before was only the beginning. According to him, there is more information that could come out, possibly supported by records or proof. Whether people fully believe him or not, his confidence has kept the conversation alive. And the fact that he continues to speak openly suggests that he believes there is a bigger story still waiting to unfold. Another important factor to consider is how narratives are shaped in Hollywood. Public perception doesn't always come from clear facts. It often develops through repetition. If enough people start hearing the same thing, even without strong evidence, it can begin to feel true. This is how reputations are built or damaged over time. And in many past situations, artists who pushed for more control or questioned the system found themselves facing subtle shifts in how they were portrayed publicly. For Teyana Taylor, this creates a very unique position. On one hand, she has the talent, the experience, and the respect of her audience. On the other hand, she may also carry knowledge that goes beyond what most people see. If she truly understands how decisions are made behind the scenes, then her next moves become even more important, because now it's not just about creating content, it's about what message that content might carry. And this brings us to the biggest question of all. What happens if she decides to fully use her voice, not just through interviews or social media, but through film, where stories can reach millions of people in a powerful and lasting way? Throughout history, some of the most impactful messages have been delivered through storytelling, often in ways that aren't immediately obvious. A single film, a single scene, or even a single line can spark conversations that spread far beyond the screen. If Teyana Taylor chooses to take that path, it could change how people view not only her story, but the industry as a whole. Because once a narrative is presented from the inside, it becomes much harder to ignore. And if that narrative challenges the way power operates, then it could make certain individuals very uncomfortable. The real impact wouldn't just be entertainment, it would be awareness. At the same time, it's important to remember that not everything is confirmed. Much of what is being discussed comes from perspectives, interpretations, and ongoing debates. The entertainment industry is complex, and there are always multiple sides to every story. But even with that uncertainty, the pattern of events, the timing, and the growing attention all point to something worth paying attention to. In the end, this situation goes beyond just one person. It highlights a larger question about creativity and the price of independence. Teyana Taylor's journey reflects what can happen when someone moves from being part of the system to truly understanding it. And if that understanding turns into expression, then the impact could be far bigger than anyone expects. So now the real question remains, if she truly has something important to reveal, will she choose to show it? And if she does, is Hollywood ready for that kind of story? If you found this video interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others who want to understand what really goes on behind the scenes. Stay tuned for more deep dives like this, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below.